Welcome to episode 26 of Bloggers Are Weird. I'm your host, DJ Paris, from the blog thoughtsfromparis.com, the YouTube show O-Sex with Karen and DJ, and author of Holy Crap, I'm Bathing in a Rose. But I'm not just a triple threat anymore. I'm a four threat. What is four? Is it quad? I'm a quad threat, damn it. Or almost a quad threat. The official, accept no imitation, the official Thoughts from Paris mobile app is coming to your Android and Apple device. If you got an iPad, I think it works on that too. I'm pretty sure. Hope so. Anyway, it's going to be really exciting. So you have a tablet, you've got a phone, as long as it's Android or iPhone or iPad, you are good. And it's really exciting because it's being developed by my friend. Well, I hired him, but I call him my friend because he's got the greatest name ever. He's Chinese. He's my developer, and his name is Dong Dong. D-O-N-G, capital D-O-N-G. No joking. It's awesome. And I had to explain to him just about 3 days ago that his name means penis in America. And let me tell you, I thought it was hilarious. He did not. He was actually, I think, a little offended. But anyways, nice enough guy. I think he got over it. But here's what the app's going to do. First, you're going to be able to read my blog. Okay, fine, good. Then next, you're going to be able to access my Facebook stream as well as my Twitter feed. And you're going to be able to listen to this very podcast right inside the application. But that's not all. You'll also get to watch my YouTube videos right from the app as well. So I'm really excited about it. And it should be going live here by early September and available to you. And you know what? It's free. And I'm also working on a little special feature that we're trying to get done that will even make it more exciting that I don't want to reveal quite yet. All right, enough about my app. Today on the show, we have Jessica Bari, who is a humor, shock, and sex blogger. And she's just absolutely one of my favorite writers, super funny, and a lot of fun to talk to. So grab a tumbler of scotch or whatever your drug of choice is. Mine are those Zone Perfect bars because I'm too lazy these days to bring lunch to work. So I just hit like the Walgreens. You know what? None of this is important. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Today's podcast is sponsored by romance-text.com. Looking to reignite the passion in your relationship? You have to check out romance-text.com. This is how to use text messages to bring back the passion and reignite the spark you once had. Now, if you're thinking this sounds cheesy or maybe it's just learning how to send dirty text messages, it's actually not. This program by relationship expert Michael Fiore has been featured in over 200 television and radio shows. This program has a money-back guarantee, is normally $97, but listeners of Bloggers Are Weird get a special price of only $47 for the entire program. By purchasing the program, you help support this show. Visit romance-text.com and get the passion back. When was the last time you went out on a date?
Well, I was in LA for a few weeks, and before that, right before I left, I had a Friday night date. So it was like 3 weeks ago.
Anything exciting?
This is kind of funny. The date lasted till Sunday. It was the best first date ever. And then it ended and we went our separate ways.
Yeah, just one of those quick kind of experiences and then didn't really long-term last?
Yeah, it was like we had a lot of fun and then just got to know each other, and I don't think that it would have worked long-term, but it doesn't mean...
Yeah, I've had a number of those where, I started dating the person and then ultimately... you learn more about them and it's like, oh, they're not going to work. And then it's kind of a bummer because you've invested time, and not that I need every relationship to be the longest, marriage, for example, but it is a kind of a bummer when for me, I've had a couple several week or even a month. And then I go, oh, now I have to break up with this person or they have to break up with me.
Right.
And it's a bummer.
Yeah, and I mean, mine was very short-lived, but it's like you have fun with this person. It's just, fun doesn't equate happiness. So that's what I've really learned on these dates. So I'll have a really good time, and I've met a lot of great people, but it doesn't mean you're a match. So, yeah, like you said, it's like you enjoy this person, but there are just certain things that are deal breakers, and that comes out as you get to know them. And, you have to walk away and either explain yourself or, and That's
Well, yeah, and somebody invariably is still into the other person, and that's, I don't know if that was the case with this one that you had, but I'm assuming it probably was. And then you have to have that uncomfortable, I don't think it's working thing, and even if it's only been 3 days or whatever.
This is the best 72 hours of my life, and I hope I never see you again. That's always a funny conversation.
Yeah, by the way, I'm speaking with Jessica Bari of jessicabari.com, which is jessicabari.com. I'm a huge fan, and she is a humor blogger and talks a lot about, well, I don't know, you talk a lot about sex and your own sort of dirty business, which I think is, a lot of fun and I think quite courageous.
Thank you.
So, so you have something you're going to read for us today, right?
Yeah, I guess bits and pieces. It's titled My Deal Breakers, Notes to a Future Lover. Each of us has non-negotiable requirements that must be met if a relationship is to work. You could figure out your requirements by asking, for example, could the relationship possibly work if this didn't happen? Or, if you had everything, but my lover does this, could I still make it work? By non-negotiable, I mean that the requirements must be met for the relationship to work. No ifs, ands, or buts. If one requirement isn't met, then it's a deal breaker, and the relationship most likely won't work, even if you try to compromise or let it go. As a relationship coach, I ask my couple clients this on the reg. I've never thought about it myself, since my usual MO is to get physical first and deal with the real stuff later. However, my favorite reality star, Jacqueline Schwartz, inspired me to come up with a list of deal breakers. And after my last post, I don't make mistakes, I date them, I really got to thinking. There's a reason those relationships didn't work out. And I don't mean the universal deal breakers like must be straight or no men with back hair. Thank you, Jacqueline. Those are no-brainers. I'm talking about the ones that are personal to me. I'm a selective bitch. No doubt you are too. We belong to a lucky generation of women who don't have to spend our 20s in a mad dash to get hitched. Husbands are optional these days. That's not to say we don't want one. We might. It's just nice not having to need one. Now, I love men. Everything about them. They're delicious creatures that make us laugh, cry, and on the really good days, bend us over furniture and fuck us silly. As wonderful as a good man can be, I've still yet to meet the one I'd be willing to settle down with. I've learned that one can build a lifelong commitment on outward appearance, can't build a lifelong commitment on outward appearances or infatuation or even money, even though those are all hugely important to me. I've learned that there's no such thing as the one, and when it comes to picking a future husband, I've learned it's the little things that matter. So without further delay, here's my unending list of deal breakers. Men who wear Crocs or Tevas. Men with cats. I have my own pussy. Must have a job. That makes money. As Chanel says, the best things in life are free. The second best are very expensive. Doesn't take longer to get ready than I do, but not a slob. Wears minimal jewelry, I'm the decorative one, no piercings, we're not in the 90s, and maintains personal hygiene at least 5'10", well endowed, and feet kept, the usual. Men who are too cool for school and won't dress up for the Halloween party is just annoying. Facebook online relationship status never meant anything to me, and it never will. Pick and choose your battles. Makeup sex should be worth fighting for. Must have a passport. Men who are cheap. This should be number one. My girlfriends, treat mine well. They know more about you than you could possibly imagine. Ed Hardy anything. Over my dead body, you're not a cast member of the Jersey Shore. Is that Axe body spray? You're dead to me. Cleavage. You're not allowed to have more than me. Your shirts have buttons for a reason and absolutely no deep V's under any circumstances. Uncut should only apply to cocaine and cult movies. Honestly, I'd rather you were circumcised. Proper introductions. If you don't remember to introduce me to people at social functions, I won't remember to keep standing at your side. Bad moods. I get it. You're hungry and you had a lousy day at work. Go eat a sandwich and rub one out or something, but don't take that shit out on me. If I wanted to live with an overbearing, temperamental woman, I would have been with your mother. Men who are sober. Congratulations. That's impressive. It works if you work it, but it's not for me. Threesomes. Don't ever ask if I'll have a threesome with one of your friends. Threesomes are for super hot strangers. We'll never meet again. Guy code. I know it exists and I respect it, but if I ever hear you say that out loud or uttering the phrase bros before hoes, you're fired from life. Men who buy one-ply toilet paper. Fuck you. Take that shit back. I'm not wiping my ass with sandpaper just because it was on sale and you're cheap. Men who don't like going down on women. Grow up. Men who are whiny eaters. You can dislike something only after you have tried it. There will be no food bigots. P.S. Please don't be the numbnard who ordered chicken teriyaki and a fork at the Japanese restaurant. Know how to eat sushi. A gym membership is not a gift. If you decide to surprise me with one, I'll know you think I'm fat and retaliate by surprising you with a Viagra prescription. And lastly, double standards. I get to be bisexual and you don't. You get to fart and I don't. Considering the oppressive gender politics endured by previous generations, I think we can both live with that.
So that pretty much disqualifies me from ever taking you out on a date.
No, we're getting along so nicely.
I know, it's devastating. Try to keep it together. So let's talk about how you got started in blogging, because you're relatively new, but you've had quite a bit of success really quickly. And for somebody like myself who's been blogging really only a few years and had moderate success himself, I've been really impressed. I mean, your Facebook page has taken off, which is unbelievable.
Thank you. Always been fascinated, I guess, with human sexuality and relationships, and the opposite sex. I guess I've always been boy crazy. And so at some point I started a master's in marriage and family therapy and decided to ultimately become a life coach and work for myself, where I work mainly only with relationships. I do breakup recovery, dating, couples in trouble, sex, trust issues, anything pertaining to people's love lives.
What would you say is like the number one thing that couples should be doing more of or less of that would really make a huge impact on their relationship?
Couples should be having more sex and with each other. And maybe they should listen more. They should definitely be listening. There's a lot of communication issues always in relationships that are having trouble. And it has to do with the listening. Nobody's listening. And
yeah, you're right. I read a great book by a guy named David Data called The Way of the Superior Man, where he talks a lot about the sort of masculine and feminine energy and how men really need to be present for their women. And if a woman is a feminine woman in particular, he needs to be that part that is able to protect her by partly, sort of traditionally like physical strength helps, but in addition to that, sort of being there emotionally and being able to, listen to her when she's having a rough day. And I know that, most men really struggle with that sort of thing. I imagine you see it all the time.
Yeah, I do. I see, but it's not just men. It's, because people, they're not communicating, so they're not expressing themselves. So by the time they've expressed themselves, it's already a fight. When the mind is working faster than the mouth, they're saying things that are not really hitting the underlying issues, but it doesn't even really matter at that point because no one's listening. You're mad, you're heated, you're answering, you're listening to respond, not to hear the person. So, you're on the defense. So neither side's really listening at that point. And, if you don't hear what the problem is, then you don't know what to solve for.
And, so you continue to do counseling, or I guess you call it life coach stuff. And then, what brought about the blog?
I guess hearing, what I deal with, it's a little, it's rewarding for me, but it's sad. You're dealing with, people who are, they might be doing well otherwise completely, but, it's a really sad component of people's lives if this isn't working out. So I really needed a way to release that and not take it home with me. And so I just thought it would be good if I started, maybe writing what I thought were solutions and, finding the humor in it and make it not so sad. And I didn't really know what the blog would culminate to, but if it was going to be more coachy in a funny way or if it was just going to be a humor blog. But, I think it's easier to express honest truths in a funny way. So that's where it kind of went.
Yeah, and, I was really impressed because just from a humor perspective, I think there's, unfortunately, a kind of a big void out there with truly funny people. And you're able to talk about something that most people aren't even willing to go after. Not that you only write about sex, but you're able to talk about it in a way that's funny and also revealing. Do you find it hard to talk about some of this, your own personal sexual, feelings or behaviors, or is that really no big deal for you?
I have no problem. I'm an open book, but, my sexual feelings usually pertain to another person. So I don't blog about, my love life or sex life, in the blog out of respect for the other person. They might not be open to it.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because you and I were talking off air about this and how difficult it is dating when you have a blog where I don't talk about sexuality hardly ever. And, if I talk about maybe I made out with somebody, I don't even reveal it then, but I might be talking years later about a date I had years before. But I don't write about any of the women that I have gone on dates with. And I know we were talking about, we have this sort of shared experience where people will prejudge you based on what you've written because they find out either you tell them about your blog or they find it on their own. Talk about some of the difficulty there.
It's really difficult because, one, I'm a humor blogger, so it's meant to be in jest. It's meant to be funny. While there might be some truth to it, like, for instance, the one I just read you, like, people should have deal breakers. You should know what you will accept and tolerate and what you won't settle for. I meant that in a very, serious way. But, my deal breakers, they were meant to be funny. A lot, some of them, they're not, you know what I mean? If I met a guy out, I don't have a measuring stick. I don't know if he's 5'10" or not, and it might not matter if I'm attracted to him and like him, you know what I mean? But if someone were to read this, exactly what you said, you and I, I met at a bar and totally hit it off and clicked and connected or whatever. But if you read this, blog of mine, you would have probably either been intimidated to ask me out or been totally turned off based on, these blogs that I've written.
Has that happened where you've lost guys as a result, or have they talked about being freaked out?
Yes, absolutely. I think it would take a really, secure man to be with anyone who blogs the way I do. But even if they are, I've dated a few secure men who, it's kind of always, I don't know if they're concerned more that I'll blog about them or how it looks. I don't know how, most parents know how to use Google these days. So bringing someone like me home, at face value, parents love me and whatnot, but I guess if they Googled me, it would be really hard to explain that to your parents.
I, just while we were talking, not 2 minutes ago, got a text from a woman who I've been talking with, but we haven't gone. In fact, we haven't talked. We've just been sort of emailing. And she just said, because I told her my last name, because she was telling a story about Paris to me. And then I said, oh, it's my last name. And she said, just sent a message while you were talking earlier. I just happened to catch it on my phone that said, hey, thanks for making your name so easily Googleable. So I haven't actually spoken to her, but I assume that means she found my blog. Now, thankfully, I've written about how I don't talk, like you saying, I don't talk about dates. But I'll be calling this person at some point, and I'll be very curious what their impression of me is, because they will have an impression of me based on what I've written. And you were talking about the same thing. You and I were sort of commiserating that we're both in the same predicament.
Yeah, you definitely get prejudged as a blogger, and things that you say in the moment are then held, you were saying when we were off air, you're held really accountable for it. Something that you say in the moment, and people take what they want away from it. So they'll harp on one thing that really stuck out to them, depending on their values or whatever it is, where that was just like a blip in the, especially for someone like you who has years of writing.
Well, I was saying to you that I had kind of a sad weekend. I was just, I was dealing with sadness, and which is totally normal, completely healthy, but that's what I was dealing with. So, part of me goes, because I'm single, if I write about that, which is honest and vulnerable. It doesn't mean I'm a depressive. It doesn't mean that I can't get out of bed and go to work.
Right.
But it's what I'm dealing with. So if I write about that and that's the first thing they read about me, they ultimately might go, this guy sounds really sad, and I don't want to go out with somebody who's, that sad.
Right. Like if you're, it's totally normal to be in a funk, and most people don't, write blogs about it, but everybody goes through funks. But because you happen to be a blogger and put it out there, right, you don't want someone seeing it and being like, I don't know, you sound so Debbie Downer, when really you're a very lively person who's rarely upset, but if that's what they come across,
Well, and I think women, for me, tend to be more accepting because I talk a lot about things like feelings, which isn't traditionally what men do. But for you, I think men tend to be afraid of women who, like you were saying, you need a secure guy who can deal with the fact that you talk about some of the hard stuff with respect to sexuality. I think that's traditionally not what women do. And as a result, I imagine it scares a lot of dudes.
Right, for sure. I think that because you talk about sex freely does not mean that you're sleeping around or uninhibited or any of those things. But I think the connotation of being vocal about it, leads to value judgments that would assume such.
Well, and so many of the people listening to this are bloggers and can relate, because I have a lot of female listeners, and you have a lot of male readers. And as a result, I have a lot of mom bloggers who, write about their families and then have to deal with the PTA meetings,
right,
or their the teacher at school who goes, "Oh, I read your blog," and then they start
making judgments about their parenting skills, or
exactly.
Of course, blog. I think it is. I think that it is hard to be a blogger because you're doing it for fun. Most of us are not getting paid for it, and you're airing your laundry, whether it's dirty or not. And even if it's not dirt, people love to hate and will make their judgments anyway.
Yeah, I got a hate. I think I was telling you this, or I was telling somebody else this, that I got some hate mail today from a British comedian who decided to read my post and then send me a pretty nasty message. And he doesn't know me at all, but he still felt the need. And you were saying that earlier, that off air, that you being Jewish, you've gotten some hate mail just for being Jewish.
Yeah.
And that's not even because you're talking about your sexuality.
Right. Just completely, yeah. And it, and being new to it, it completely surprised me. I guess I assumed it happened, but it totally threw me off guard that people go out of their way to be mean to people they don't even know when they're listening to read the blog. If you don't want to read it, don't. So that's it.
I think women who are funny too, it's hard because men sort of want to be the funny one in the relationship, or traditionally have a hard time when they can't keep up, humor-wise. I think that's tough for a guy in many cases. So it takes a really strong guy that can take a back seat to his woman being funnier than he is.
Yeah, I would love a man that can keep up. Maybe that's what I'm waiting for.
Well, right. You guys love a challenge, and you want somebody that can meet the challenge. But you're right. It's going to be tough. And it just, I look for a woman who can make me laugh too. That's really important to me. And I don't consider myself to be so incredibly funny that, nobody would be able to keep up. Like you're looking for that person too. It's not easy. And it is something that as a humor blogger, that's what we're good at. And so we have to have realistic expectation, of people out there. But I've always said, for me, and I don't know what makes you laugh, but for me, I just love when somebody makes the effort, when somebody tries out a joke. Even if it doesn't work, I love the idea that somebody will try something out. And whether it hits or not is not that important to me. I just love the effort. I don't know if you're the same way, or if you just need somebody literally to be funny.
I don't appreciate a bad joke as much as you do.
Yeah. I love a good bad joke.
But, if it's a girl, it may be, cute and endearing and whatnot. For me, I'm like, just stop. Stop.
Have you started getting any interesting emails from men who have read your stuff? Anything where you've been hit on, or has anyone written really inappropriate stuff to you yet?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought no one would ever want to date me again because of the blog, but I get daily offers. I mean, anything from flying me anywhere to they want to know if I have a foot fetish and they want to lick my feet. I mean, really, anything goes. People don't hold back once they see that I'm pretty open. That I think that, and because it's through the computer, they're sending me emails. It's not like they have to come up to me at a bar and say it to my face.
Yeah, I don't really get a lot of that because most of the people who read my blogs are married, and they tend to be women in their 40s with children. So I don't get hit on, but I do get a lot of emails, and I can't even imagine, because guys are, so much their role is to go and attract a woman. So I can't imagine what kind of stuff you must get. What's your policy on that? Do you just ignore? Do you ever respond?
Offers, if it's a good offer, if I think I like the guy, sure. Yeah. I don't respond to negativity or hate mail or anything like that. But I mean, yeah. Some are just creepy and just really out there, and I don't bother. And sometimes I'll throw it up on the blog because it is a humor blog, and it's so funny that it's people need to I'm not trying to it's almost like a wall of shame.
Yeah, let's talk about dating actually, because you do online dating. I do that as well, and I know you're not always on. You sort of go on and off from time to time, but talk about what are men doing that is prohibiting them from getting dates, because I'm sure you have seen everything that you could do wrong.
Online?
Yes.
Oh, God. I mean, there needs to be entire courses on online dating.
What's the best approach for a man who is wanting really to connect with a woman? He's not just looking for, a sexual experience. He's maybe looking for a girlfriend. What's the first contact? It's going to be via email, through the system of the online dating application. What should he do? And how long should the message be, and that sort of thing. I'm always curious.
More so than the message, you need to make sure that your profile is up to par. You could write me a great message, and if I look at your profile and you have one pic with sunglasses on in a shady mirror, you're still online dating. I need to know what you look like. I'm not someone, I want to have a deep connection with someone, but I still need to be attracted to you. And people are scared to say I need you to be good looking, and not good looking like Brad Pitt, but good looking to me. I need to be. So you need to know what they look like. So you need to post recent photos and clear photos, and not one with you and 10 of your buddies, and not one of you in a ski suit and, jumping out of airplane where I have no idea what you look like. Some people post 20 pictures of them rock climbing and skiing, and I still have no idea what they look like. I get it, you're active and whatever. So, I want to know what you look like, and then I want to read about you and see, how you would describe yourself to someone. I think that's really telling. What you find important to tell someone about yourself, I find really telling.
How often do men just send emails? What percentage of the time is it relatively clear that they did not read your profile, that they are just responding to your photo?
It's about 50-50.
And do you respond at all to men who don't acknowledge something in your profile?
Yes. I don't mind if they read mine or not. I don't care. That doesn't bother me if they read mine or not, but I'm going to read theirs. That's important to me.
What should a man because we're going to be distributing this podcast, and majority of my audience is female, but a majority of your audience is male. So what would you say to men who are, doing online dating? What are some of as far as tips on the first message, what do you keep it longer, shorter? What's usually best policy?
Shorter, but enough that you have something to respond to. I would say that it elicits a response. If I get something that says, hey, how are you? I am not writing back, good, and you? Like, that is not even if I looked at his profile and he seemed interesting, because it's like, what? Not long, because I don't know you and I'm not going to maybe take the time to read this like long drawn out message, because as a woman, and I think most women on these sites are just inundated with emails.
How many emails do women get a day if you're moderately, attractive in the traditional sense?
I mean, I don't know. I get at least 20 a day. I haven't really, asked around on that, but, when they come to my phone, and so like I could be out and about when I get it. So it should be, 2-3 lines. And, I would end with a question. Give them something to answer, so that if there is any interest, they have something to, if it just ends on have a good day, okay, thanks, bud. But, if you ask me a question, then I respond, and I can ask and you, and that's, I think that asking a question is really good. I would never suggest winking. I really don't like the winking thing. It shows no effort, and I actually don't even look at my winks. I get so many emails a day that I'm not going to go through and look at random people who made no effort at all to click a button, and it's kind of creepy. I'll tell you, I don't know if I've ever said this out loud about online dating. I don't like when people ask me, okay, so I'm on Match.com, when people go, how's Match going for you? I do not like this question, and I have never, ever met someone on Match, and I start speaking to them, even the ones I like pre-qualify, I speak to, who go, so how's Match working out for you? Everybody likes to ask this question. I do not like this question. You are on Match, or not you, I am on Match to find someone to be in a relationship with. Obviously, it's not working that well.
It's absolutely 100% true. And most dates don't work out. So if you're saying, hey, how's your overall experience? It's shitty.
Yeah, well, hello, I'm on my 9th date this week. It's not good, buddy. And you know what? You're a potential suitor or boyfriend or husband. You're a potential something. That's why we're speaking. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's going really well. I met this guy last week and I had sex with him. Who's going to say that? What are you like, oh, I actually met this guy last night. It's going really well, but I'm trying to keep busy. So, I just think it's a silly question. There's no way to answer that, honestly, that makes it, and it just opens up, kind of breeds negativity, because it opens up that gate where, so people can tell their horror stories about Match. People love, or online dating. All people online dating love to discuss their horror stories.
Yeah, I wish I had one good one. I really don't. Everyone's been, because I don't go out with creepy women, so...
Yeah, that's what I say. I'm like, well, they haven't been that bad. I am not exactly picking, pedophiles. What are you talking about? They're fine.
I will say, too, if there's any women that are online dating, I will give a huge tip, which is just a personal preference of mine, which is very difficult to both do and hear. If you're not into the guy, and this just happened to me recently, where we went out on a couple of dates, and I actually really liked this person. I thought she was great. And she called me just recently and said, hey, I owe it to you to tell you I don't feel the connection. And it was really not easy to hear, of course, because it's rejection. But she said, I feel like I owe you the truth, and I don't want you spinning your wheels on me when I don't feel the same way. But I do want to develop a friendship with you. And I sort of went, yeah, sure. Everyone says they want a friendship. But she really did. And as a result of the fact that she had the courage to say that, I ultimately said, I'm open to the idea of a friendship. And, we'll see if one develops. But I think it's so courageous for somebody to be able to, because what most people do, and this has happened to me as well, is they just disappear. And you never hear from them again. And that's, I would love, you're in counseling, so the idea of closure is important, but it is very rare in my experience where somebody is able to have the courage to call and say, it's just not working for me.
it is rare, and it's really a beautiful thing that she did that. I tend to be the type to just ignore people, and I'm someone who, knows better. I know that it's not the nice thing to do. It's not the adult thing to do. But the truth of the matter is that really you get busy, and if you don't like the person, I guess you don't really care about the person, so it doesn't become a priority to explain yourself to them. But you're right. I mean, and her saying that, I mean, you really got to appreciate her and applaud her for doing that, because it's not the easy thing to do, and it is the right thing to do. And I had a similar experience where I liked this guy, and I thought everything was going great, and he said, I don't see a serious relationship with you, actually. And it's a real blow to the ego. It's hard to say that to someone, and it's hard to hear, like you were saying. But I really appreciated that he didn't string me along. I think maybe the opposite for guys. I think that girls kind of ignore, and I think that guys might string you along or have sex with you if you'll have sex with them, or, allow it to linger. I don't know, maybe you comment on that. I think that maybe that's more what happens to me. They don't just disappear. It'll be more like, I thought we had something.
Yeah, well, guys will come back. That's the thing. Women never come back. Or at least, I've never had somebody 3 months later go, I thought about it, and I think I want to date again. It's never once happened. In my entire life, that's never happened. I think, for whatever reason, maybe it's the people I attract, but for whatever reason, once they decide they are not into me, they're gone. And I think typically men, for whatever reason, I mean, I've never done this where I've never gone back to somebody months later and said, I'd really like another shot. I never have. Even if I wanted to, I just felt like the woman's not into me. It's not going to work. But I know that happens where women do get texts from guys, who have been long gone, who want to rekindle something, or maybe they're just lonely or horny or whatever.
Right.
And I imagine that happens to you.
Yeah. So, I really do appreciate that, he said that to me because I liked him. So had he not said that he didn't see that and we continued to see, I would have only liked him more, and he would have continued, we had a good time together, and, I'm sure it could have been a really beneficial relationship to him to perpetuate and string me along. And I really, for as much as I hated hearing it, appreciated that he's, told me that.
So when do you tell a guy about your blog?
I'm still gauging what the right point is. So at this point, most of my dates, most of the men I'm meeting are via the blog. So they know about the blog at this point. Like I said, because I only intermittently go online to, on Match.com and whatnot to check it. So, and I've been focused on the blog daily. So I've been checking, those messages. So I see them. So that's really in my face. So those people know about the blog. And if I meet someone out or online, I would really like to hold out on telling them, but
I've had women who knew about my blog, which, again, I don't deal with the same subject matter you do, but I talk about vulnerable stuff as well. And I've had them say, I don't want to read it because I want to get to know you first, face to face. And I've always appreciated that. Not that I don't want people to read I'm proud of what I've written. I'm happy with it. It is part of who I am, and a large part of who I am. But I love that somebody goes, I will read it, but let's get to know you first. And I don't know if you've had that experience yet.
Yeah, I've only had one guy say that he hadn't seen it. I was like, maybe perhaps you've seen my blog, and he was like, I haven't. And I was like, don't look. And which is a tough thing for me, because you're right, I want to tell everyone about it. I love it. I think it's, really funny, and that people would get a laugh out of it, and it's nice to make people laugh. But, and I really appreciated that. And had it developed, of course, I'd want him to be my biggest fan and read every single piece before I even put it out there. But yeah, when you're getting to know someone, you don't want them, like, especially as a humor blogger, to be reading it without you there explaining it, that like it's meant to be a joke, it's meant to be funny, it's meant to, I mean, there are things on my thing that are just blatantly not true. Like I wrote this random thing where I'll just throw in like, so there I was with a restraining order. I've never had any restraining orders against me, but if you read that and you take things literally, you're going to think I'm an actual crazy person when it was just like meant to be funny.
Let's since you do have men approach you via your blog, let's instruct them right now. Okay. So what should they not do when they email you?
They should not be married. They should be straight. Not that gay men cannot email me, but not for, I don't want to be anyone's beard. And they should, people emailing me via the blog, some are just straight up creeps and whatever, I expect that. And the other ones are just, it just depends. They're they usually have a pretty good sense of humor if they're if they're a normal, well-adjusted person reading my blog. So I've gotten lucky in that sense.
Yeah, I met a girlfriend of mine for a few years ago. I met her via my blog, and she got it. Everything that, she became my biggest fan. And then ultimately the relationship didn't work out. But part of what I look for in a partner is somebody that goes, I really like your writing. They don't have to worship at the altar of my blog, but the idea of them going, I think that's really cool. Is really all I need. Is I just want somebody to go, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And
it's something you're passionate about. So it's nice and validating that someone would be intrigued and like that you have something you're passionate about and be into it. That's a beautiful thing. I completely agree with that.
Well, we covered a lot of ground. We talked about, obviously, your personal dating experiences as well as the blog and some of the delicate and revealing subject matter that you delve into, and also what guys should do and shouldn't do when they're online dating. So I think that's probably a good place to wrap up. But if you want to follow Jessica, first visit her blog, jessicabari.com, which is BARI.com. Also, they can follow you on Twitter. You're Jessica Bari on Twitter as well, right?
Yep.
And also your Facebook. You do a lot of stuff on Facebook. How can they find you there?
Facebook.com/rationalize anything.
Great. And if you want to hit on her, send her an email and keep the photos with the shirt off in the bathroom, self-photo, probably to yourself. I imagine that's probably not going to work, right?
Yeah, no, I don't need any selfies.
You already live in South Beach,
right.
Where there
I get the real thing.
Yeah, you get the real thing, and see, that's why I could never live there. I don't have the physique. I need to hit the gym for 3 years, and then maybe I could even vacation down there. I feel so like inadequate. It's amazing how South Beach, everyone looks perfect, and it seems like nobody works. It's the weirdest thing.
Well, not everybody looks perfect, but definitely nobody's working. Nobody's working.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Jessica, thank you so much for your time, and everyone should check out her blog. And I think it's one of the funniest that I've come across. I'm glad to have you on the podcast. And so say goodbye, Jessica.
Bye.